Hi and welcome back to BookTube with Amy. Today is going to be my next Try That Trope episode. So it's Valentine's Day currently, and I thought that I would do a trope revolving my one true love, which is coffee. So recently I feel like there's been quite an influx of books that have been set in like tea, coffee shop, cafe, that type setting, and it's something that has become quite popular. I have never really read any of the books other than Legends and Lattes, which I thoroughly enjoyed, but obviously found through this Try That Trope series earlier in the series that I really enjoyed a cosy mystery that was set in a bakery, because I really love cooking, I really love food. I also really love coffee, so I was wondering how I would find books that were set in a coffee shop or a cafe. So I've picked two books to read as usual. So the one that I am starting with is On What Grounds by Cleo Coyle, and this is a cosy mystery that is set in a cafe in New York City, and the main character of this is the manager, and she finds her assistant manager after she's had a bit of an accident, and she believes that there's something a wee bit more suspicious going on, and the police think it's just a case of the girl has tripped, and that's where we are with that one. I am then going to read Cafe con Leche, and this is a contemporary romance. I believe we have two male characters who own opposing cafes, so quite competitive, and I think that they're going to fall in love and it's going to be really cute and really sweet. So I've started with On What Grounds just because I've been in like a total cosy mystery kick, so the opportunity to read an additional cosy I was going to be taken. However, I am 110 pages into this so far and I'm unsure how I'm feeling about it. The cosy mystery genre is still a genre that is quite new to me. It was something that I only started to get into probably about halfway through last year, and you know, I haven't read masses of cosy mysteries. I've dipped in and out of a few different series to find what works for me. But something that I really enjoy about a cosy mystery is that the ones I tend to prefer and that I tend to enjoy all take place in small towns or villages where you really get to know a cast of characters and they're recurring characters throughout the series, and you know, in these wee towns or villages everybody knows everybody, and it just creates that type of really cosy cute atmosphere. Because this one is set in New York City, I'm not really getting the same, to be honest. I feel like the authors as well have been quite name droppy with certain celebrities and stuff who have maybe been in and out of this coffee house, and I don't know if that's like the author's way of making you feel like you know this community because they are well known people, but it's just not really working for me. I feel like as well I don't really know enough about our main character yet to decide whether or not I really like her, whereas in any cosy mystery that I've read before, like I know how I feel about them quite early on, and I just I'm not sure. I am, however, really enjoying all the coffee talk. There's like scenes in here obviously where they're working in the cafe and they're telling you about all the different coffees, and there's quite a lot of chat in here about the best way to make coffee because she considers herself quite an expert, and there's quite a lot of judgment about what she thinks is acceptable and unacceptable when it comes to coffee making. So there's like quite a lot of hints and tips through here as well, which is quite cool if you're really into your coffee like I am. One thing that I am not enjoying about this book either is I feel like our main character is pretty judgmental, and I don't know if that's just an age thing because I think this was out in 2007 maybe. Let me check. So it was published in 2003, so I don't know if maybe just like society has evolved a bit since this book was out, but like anytime we're introduced to a new female character, our main character's just quite judgy about them. Like there's a scene in here where she goes to meet one of the friends of the girl who had the accident, and she's like, oh, I've got a soft spot for her because I used to look like her when I was younger, but then like I straightened my hair and learned how to use makeup and lost weight and like now I'm fine. And I was like, whoa, such negativity. Absolutely no need. And then she also like has a wee bit of a crush on one of the police officers who is dealing with a murder but the police officer's married. Like, what? Am I meant to root for you? I don't know how I feel about it yet. I am not hugely enjoying it, which is a wee bit disappointing, but I'm liking the coffee, so we'll see how we go. So I have finished On What Grounds. I was planning to update you last night when I was at the halfway mark, and I just couldn't be arsed because I didn't want to sit down to talk about this book, to be honest. I really didn't enjoy it. This ended up rating a 1 star for me, and we will go in and slate it. And I'll tell you all the reasons why I hated it. But as for the trope of being in a coffee shop, that is something that I actually really enjoyed, and it was the only saving grace of this entire book. There is a lot of coffee chat in here, and I'm sure I mentioned in one of my earlier updates, like, I am obviously a big coffee enthusiast, so I really enjoyed that, and you got to learn about all the different types of coffee and, you know, them making it, grinding the beans, all that sort of stuff. And I always really like a book that is like partially educational. It's something that I really enjoy. I feel like Chuck Palahniuk's writing on the opposite end of a cozy mystery, but it's something that I really enjoy, so I feel like I learned some stuff about coffee for this book, and it was just like really lovely to see that process. Like, I really love taking the time to make myself a really nice cuppa and like treat myself with it, and so I liked that element of it. But all the things that I did not like about it, firstly, I didn't care about any of the love interests at all. I have discovered that I usually hate a love triangle, but I quite like a love triangle if it's in a cozy mystery. So that might be like a future try that trope where I now try other genres with love triangles and see how I feel. But the love triangle in here, what is your main character's name again? Claire. So Claire has her ex-husband Matteo, and Matteo has no put her or their kid first their entire marriage. He cheats on her and he focuses on his career, and he jet sets here, there and everywhere, and was a bit of a deadbeat husband and a deadbeat dad. And Claire caught him cheating a few times and decided to let him slide for their kid, but as soon as their kid was old enough, she was like, right, catchy, bye, this isn't happening anymore because I don't want to be treated like shit, which I love. However, as soon as Matteo comes back on the scene again in this book, she is like overcome with feeling and lust for him, which I just never really bought into because he's a cheating scumbag and he decided to leave him. So why all of a sudden now are you just like, oh? And then the other person in the love triangle that Claire quite fancies is the detective who's investigating the case in this book, but he is married. And so I just feel like it's totally inappropriate for her to have all these thoughts and feelings about him, and so I also didn't ship that. And he sort of hints sometimes to Claire that like his relationship isn't the best, but then like, just leave, and then if you want to be with Claire, be with Claire. Like, there doesn't need to be this whole usually want to be together, you're staring at her boobs, she's imagining bringing you coffee in bed. Like, when you're married, it's inappropriate. I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. I didn't get any cosy vibes for this book really, other than the scenes that revolved around the actual coffee making. I feel like the rest of the setting wasn't necessarily cosy. It was really difficult for me to try and feel cosy when it's set in New York City, and I know I said that earlier. It's just too big a place and there's too many different people that I didn't feel like it was cute and cosy like it normally is. And there's also quite a lot of characters in here that get flung into it as well, whereas I quite like a cosy mystery where it's like a set cast of characters in this wee town, and obviously you can have like a couple of new people coming in for the purpose of that book, but like I just didn't enjoy this. It just wasn't my vibes. And like there's some bits of this as well that you can see is quite dated. Like it was published in 2003, and like there's bits where they refer to like a latte as being gay, and oh, I fucking hate that. There's absolutely no need for it. I just don't think that this is aged particularly well. The crux of it is that I didn't give a fuck about any of the characters really. I could not have cared less what happened to them, and it's not a series that I am going to continue. I only cared about one character in the whole book, and that is Madame, who is a legend. So she is like the owner of the coffee shop, and she just pays other people to run it. And she's like this just posh wee old woman who thinks like she rubs shoulders with like the up and comers in New York, so thinks that she's somebody. And she reminds me of, if anybody's watched Gilmore Girls, of the woman who comes to address Emily and like Lorelai and Rory at certain points as well, whose name I can't remember. That's who Madame reminded me of. But I only really cared about her. I only really liked her. I felt like the rest of the book was pretty poor. I also feel like there were some crappy views in here around sex work. A couple of your characters are exotic dancers, and it's almost like quite looked down upon. And you know, after our main character Claire finds out that her colleague, who she has done nothing but praise through the entire novel and is absolutely convinced that something bad happened to her, as soon as she sort of finds out that she was exotic dancing a bit before she came to work at the coffee house, it's like her opinion changes. And like then at the end of the book it's like, oh, you know, just because you care about people doesn't mean that you can change them and da da da. And I just didn't really like that. Like, we don't shame sex work on this channel. Like, sex work is work, get a fucking grip. It was pish. In summation, it was a 1 star. Would be continuing the series, but I did like the trope of it being in a coffee house. So now I'm going to start Cafe Con Lychee. Might not start it this evening, but it is my day off tomorrow, so I will get some like actual updates and b-roll and stuff done and pretend like I'm a proper booktuber who can vlog. But I'm excited to start this. I'm hoping that this is going to be like quite cute, and I'm excited. And welcome back to whatever day the vlog this is. This is not going to be a book catch up, this is just going to be like a life catch up at the minute. So this is quite a few days after my last vlog clip, and I have like only read the first chapter of Cafe Con Lychee because I've just been having like a really bad time with my anxiety, and I was swithering about like whether to talk to you about it or whether to just like wait and film once I had read a wee bit more of the book. But I'm always really open and honest about my mental health on the channel, and I always like to just keep it 100% with you guys. So I'm just going to have a wee chat to you about it. So I have like anxiety and depression, as I've spoke about so many times, and it used to be that depression was worse than my anxiety, but I feel like as I've gotten a bit older, the past few years certainly, my anxiety has been so much worse than my depression, and my depression has almost just become like a symptom of my anxiety. And I've just had like a really crappy couple of days. I've said this before, but I'm like in the middle of changing jobs at the minute, and so my old work I haven't quite finished up, and there's just so much going on, and there's so much that I need to like get over the line before I finish up to like pass over to the other managers so that I can like obviously go and focus on my new role. And that's just been such hard work that I feel like when I've been coming home, like I just have no time or energy to do anything else. And then my brain starts to make me feel really guilty and really shitty about that if like the place isn't tidied, or if I says like I was going to do this and then I don't, or like if I cook something quicker for dinner instead of like making a nice healthy nourishing meal. And I just fucking hate that. Like, it's one of the worst bits about anxiety. And for the past week I've not been sleeping great because I can't make my brain shut off. And this is like the worst thing I think about living with anxiety, especially for me, right, is if I'm really busy or I have a lot of things going on, like my brain just will not stop. And so if I come home from work, even if me and Simon are just like chilling watching the telly, like I just can't shut off and enjoy that, because my brain's like with like all the other stuff that I should be doing or that I could be doing, like, and then I can't enjoy what I'm actually doing because my brain's making me worry and think about all the other stuff. And then by the time like we get to go to bed, I can't sleep because I'm like, you didn't even enjoy the time that you had to shut off. So like, now you haven't shut off properly, and now you're going to have to try and shut off and sleep in a short space of time. And then I start stressing about the fact I'm going to be up for work soon and I've not even fell asleep yet, right? So I decided Friday was my day off there, and I was just going to have a chill day. I was going to listen to my body, because if I work myself too much and I'm trying to do all these things and, you know, keep a nice balanced life, my brain also then goes, psst, you know, you've had no time to relax recently, eh? And then like I start to feel really run down and really overworked. And then I start to feel anxious about the fact I've had no time to myself, and then I didn't know when I'm going to get time to myself again, like if I'm maybe on a run of days. So I was like, nah, Friday, we're listening to my body, like I'm just going to chill and have a chill day. But like, I couldn't even enjoy it because like I was watching The Last of Us, right, which was epic, but it, like, I would start another episode and then go, right, after the episode this is what you're going to do. And then I was like, no Amy, no you're not, because like this is your chill day, like you've said you're not going to do anything, but here I am still trying to make myself do stuff. And then as well, like, I just got overwhelmed with feelings sometimes because my brain doesn't work properly. And so most people, like, if something happens, like, or they're maybe like going through something, they'll feel a certain way because of that. And like, that's still what happens to me, but my brain doesn't automatically put together that I am feeling these emotions because of this thing, like a normal person. And so what my brain does is it gives me all these emotions, and I don't know why I'm feeling these things. And so my brain tries to help me by going, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe everybody hates you, like maybe it's this. And then like I start worrying about they things, when actually they things are nothing to do with why I'm feeling like that, it's this thing. And it takes me like a good couple of days sometimes before I actually come to that realisation. And like, I'm such a self-reflective person, and so like it really annoys me when my brain does this, because like I talk about self-reflection literally every single day at my work, and I know that it's one of my strengths in my career. And so then I get really frustrated that like, how can I not just self-reflect quicker to find out it's this and no this stuff, right? So anyway, that's where I've been. That's what I've been up to. I've just been like stressing about life on my sofa in my jammies, but I'm feeling a lot more positive today, and it's my day off, so we are going to have a nice time. This is what we're going to do. I got the messages delivered, so we are going to put the messages away. And then I thought, seeing as this is like about coffee, this trope is I would sort my coffee area out, because I need to like top up on my Tassimo pods and stuff like that, and we would just get all of that sorted. And then I need to clean my oven because my big range cooker is my actual baby and I love it so much. And like, I love cleaning it. It's one of my favourite things. Like, it dead relaxes me, makes me feel quite centred, and it needs a clean. So I'm also going to clean my oven, and then I might mop my kitchen floor if I'm feeling particularly on it. And while I'm doing all of this, I'll listen to my audiobook and I will catch up with you later on the day with my thoughts. Me and Simon actually did something fun last night, which is unusual for us because we are like such homebirds and we are just like at our happiest when we're both at home with the dog with a cup of tea and a book. Like that is just like our ultimate. And we always say like we're going to try and do things and go out a wee bit more and like take part in some like different local events and stuff, because Simon says he felt like he just took all of them for granted before COVID, and then when they were all away, you know, it made him really reflect on the fact that he should try to support them a wee bit more, which is cool, great. But see, try to get us out the door to actually go to something, nightmare, because this is it. Like this is our ultimate. We have our library now and we just want to live our lives here. But it's Paisley Book Festival this week and there's a couple of authors at it that I was interested in seeing. So Graham Armstrong was talking, but he's talking this morning, so we didn't manage to get tickets for that, unfortunately. But we did manage to get tickets to see Michael Pedersen talk. Michael Pedersen, who you may or may know, wrote Boyfriends, that was one of my top books of last year. And I was so excited when I found that he was coming to Paisley Book Festival, so we got tickets and we went to go see him speak last night, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Just such an eloquent, articulate guy, and I just loved hearing him speak. He did like a couple of readings for the books and he performed a couple of his new poems for us as well. But what I really love about Michael is he's very funny. He's Scottish, so of course he's funny. And like sometimes he's funny in a really heartbreaking way, and that just is like the wee key to my soul. But also he just is really open and really candid about what it was like to grow up as quirky and a bit different and, you know, quite an effeminate boy in Scotland, and I really love that. And like I feel it in my soul. I feel like me and Michael are like so similar in a lot of respects, because I was that wee weird kid. Like, so when he talks about his childhood and stuff, like I just relate. And then obviously like he had this big friendship with Scott and I really adored Scott, and although Scott didn't know, I felt like I had a friendship with him too. And it was just brilliant. And he was speaking with another poet whose name actually escapes me, so I'm going to look it up right now because she was equally phenomenal. So Jackie Kay, who is apparently quite a well-loved Scottish poet, and I've never read any of her work before, but after hearing her last night, she also did some readings and I really liked everything that she read, and I felt it really resonated with me. She writes a lot about love and friends and grief, and I just thought everything she read was absolutely brilliant. And I really enjoyed it, and she was also a very engaging speaker. She was hysterical. Well, in fact, actually, to be fair, I feel like she maybe wasn't hysterical, but in fact her parents were hysterical, because she just told so many amazing stories about her mum and dad, like, and we were proper like belly laughing at points because they were just absolutely hysterical. So I'm definitely keen to check out some of her work as well. But it was really cool. They just sat, the two of them, and like Michael and Jackie are friends and they've done quite a lot of work together in the past, and so they just sat and they had a wee chat about friendship and grief and love and loss, and it just flowed so naturally. And like at different points throughout the conversation it would link back to, you know, something that Michael had written in his book or a poem that Jackie had written, and then they would just like take that time to do readings, and it was really lovely to see how much almost their friendship and their individual works had then went and influenced each other's works, and it was just really cool. And everything that happened, like, it just evolved so naturally. Nene, it was pre-written, and then they did like a couple of Q&A bits at the end, and it was just, it was so good. And it was really nice to hear Michael speak. There was a bit in the book actually that really made me emotional, and he read that bit out loud like at the reading last night, and I did have a wee lump in my throat. Like, I thought I was maybe going to greet, because he's talking about him and Scott had this big humongous meal. They share this ginormous gargantuan seafood platter, and it's a couple of days before Scott went missing, and you know, he's talking about just how it was ridiculous to have like spent that amount of money on that much food, but how it was great to just like sit and spend the time and like nourishing each other and enjoying each other's company and putting all this goodness into their bodies with all this food. And then he says something to the effect of, and you know, by the time that the money for the food cleared out my bank account, you had already gone. And oh, that just gets me every single time. But it was excellent, and I really enjoyed it. Definitely going to keep an eye out for more events at the Paisley Book Festival next year to make Mary an effort to go, and we'll probably try and go to something at I Write this year. However, I Write falls like right in my birthday, and me and Simon are going to London for my birthday, so I'm not too sure we're going to get to go to much, but we'll see if there's anything that we fancy. Anyway, right, okay, thanks for being my therapy session. I'm gonna go and get some bits done. You can come and hang out with me and we'll listen to the audiobook and just have a fun time. Okay, so I am up to chapter 13 and I am so enjoying this so far. Like, oh my god, so it's fucking adorable. Just right off the bat. So we've got Theo and Gabby, and their families both run cafes in this wee town. And basically it sounds like it's quite an up and coming area, and so there are often like wee cafes that pop up and they tend to not do very well, and their two family cafes are like the only ones that are still standing. And then a new cafe comes to town and it's taking business away from both of their parents' cafes, and as much as they are like arch nemesis and they refer to each other as the enemy all the time, they have decided that they are going to work together to try and come up with some new recipes and to like fuse both their heritages together to sell a wee side hustle and try and steal the young customers away from the new cafe that is opened to help support both of their parents' shops. I love it. We love a good enemies to lovers here, but I don't feel like this is proper enemies to lovers, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I think that they are very cute. We have just had the scene where Gabby comes out to Theo because Theo is out and proud and everybody knows that he is gay, but Gabby is not and has only told his best friend so far. His family don't even know. And there's a scene earlier in the book where Gabby says something and like it could come across as a bit homophobic to Theo, because basically they go to share a drink or something and he's like, I'm no gay. And he's like, oh fuck, like he's not going to think like I'm a bigot, and like they have a wee talk about it and stuff, and he's like, look, listen, I'm no bigot, like I am the anti-gay, I'm actually gay, and I was just scared to like being in a situation where anybody else might pick up on that, so like my default is I'm no gay. And it was just really lovely because Theo was dead understanding about it, and I think this could definitely be the start of a friendship if not a romance. And see, even if they are just pals, like I'm here for it, absolutely adoring it. But it's very adorable. There isn't a huge focus on the food and the cafe setting so far as much as there was on what grounds. They are talking about food, but you're only getting like the recipes and stuff like that. I'm hoping that's gonna come, but at the minute I've popped all the messages away, reorganised my pantry, so I am going to crack on with cleaning the oven. I don't need to show you that, you know how an oven looks. I'm going to clean my oven, and then I reckon I'm going to prep my fruit salads for my lunches for the week. So I have finished Cafe con Leche and I really love this. So I actually ended up binging it that day that I was getting like everything done. This is a couple of days later because I've been terrible at updating this vlog, but we've previously discussed. So the day that I was like getting everything sorted and doing the kitchen and that, I just finished this because it was just so delightful. The characters in here were phenomenal. I feel like they were so well written and they were both really reflective, and I think that sometimes enemies to lovers, if it goes too quick, it's not very believable. And I feel like in here, although it is pretty quick, because the characters are so self-reflective and we get like all their thoughts and feelings and what they are thinking at certain points, I feel like it really does make sense, and I love that. And like by the end of it I was like, you better get together, and spoilers, they do. So I was very pleased about it, and even their families end up coming together in the end of this book, which is brilliant because they are both really struggling to make their cafes survive, and so they decide that they are going to team up. My issues with this in our very first catch up that we had about it was the fact that I didn't feel like the cafe setting was really playing much of a part to the book. I mean, given the cover of this with the amount of food that is on it, like I am expecting food galore. That happened, which was great. The boys decide that they're going to start like a joint venture, and they sort of fuse together like both of their cultures and cuisines to make some new stuff that's a wee bit different, and they start selling it at school, and so there was a lot of chat around that. I think on this it's not quite as in-depth as I am used to with my Meet the Baker series, which I also really enjoy, because Juliet in that series is a chef, and so you're getting like all the ins and outs. She's telling you her recipes, why she does this, why she does that, and I adore that. I don't think that this goes into that in too much depth. It is really just like descriptions, but it was great. It was a fun time. I think that this book actually handles some pretty serious topics, and it does it really well, and it doesn't do it in a way that it would be too adult for a younger audience. I think that this is definitely YA. It's been written brilliantly. We really handle the topic of being queer and coming out. We have one character in here who has came out to his family, and the other he hasn't, but he's shiting himself because he basically thinks that his mum and dad won't love him anymore, and it deals with that in such a brilliant way. And I think that books like this geared towards a younger audience are difficult to get right, because not everybody's going to have a picture perfect happy ending with their family when they come out as queer, and like you want people who have that experience to be represented also, but then you don't want that to be the only experience that's represented, so that it hinders other younger people who are maybe going to come out from coming out. And so I think that it's a really difficult one to balance. You don't want to make it like everything's all just happy and everybody gets a great happy ending, when unfortunately that isn't always the reality of the situation. You want it to feel real, and I feel like it really did in here. You know, the character who was out, he had some reservations. He felt like his family didn't really support him being queer as much, and actually that wasn't the case. It was their extended family that didn't support it, and his mum and dad were like, and his brother was like, fuck off, like he'll be who he wants to be and we love him for it he is, and if you're not willing to accept him then like you're not part of your life. And so I really liked that element of it. And then Gabe, who is our character who hasn't come out to his family yet, his dad is very homophobic and has made some comments in the past, so he's just like cannot come out to him ever, and he eventually does come out, and you know, no, everything's brilliant right away, and you know, but it transpires his dad wasn't concerned about him being gay. He was concerned about, you know, the stuff that he would take because people are shit basically, and he was like, you are already like Puerto Rican and, you know, a person of colour, and so if you are also gay on top of that, like, are you going to be in for a hellish time? And they were more concerned about the impact that it would have on him. I think it was handled brilliantly, because at the end of the book, no, everything was all hunky-dory and there was still an element of some stuff that needed to work through, and I felt like that was really realistic and representative of real life, but it was a happy ending enough that it wouldn't hinder anybody else coming out, if that makes sense. I also really liked in here how it talks a lot about the interests that people might pretend to have so that they can pass as straight, and it's not something that I've ever really encountered in a book before, or a topic that I've really read about, but I felt like that was really interesting because of course that happens, and it was just really nice to read about that and see that mentioned and spoken about in a book, because I think if you're a younger queer person reading this then you might really resonate with that. This book also really deals with race, I guess, to an extent. You know, your two main characters, their parents were raised in a certain way, either in a certain culture that's really predominant in the way that they've chosen to raise their kids, and like that plays a big part on your main two characters and how they decide to live their lives and how they feel they're able to live their lives, and the boxes, I guess, that people put them into based on their race. And so I felt like that was done really well, and I feel like although the parents aren't a key feature of the book, like they just pop up every so often, you know, which is a good thing I reckon, because it was the boys' story, but the way that they parent, you can see, is definitely a cultural thing, and the way that they choose to do things is definitely a cultural thing in some aspects of their parenting, and so it was nice to see how that related and how both boys felt about it, and like meeting each other's parents and how they choose to do things as well. So I really enjoyed that. I think this is a phenomenal book, to be honest. It was a 5-star read for me. It was really cute but quite hard hitting at times, and I just loved it, and I really shipped them. This definitely is higher rated than On What Grounds. This was a pile of shite. Would absolutely recommend this. I think I ended up rating this a 2-star in the end, or a 1-star, I don't remember, and this one was a 5-star. I thoroughly loved it. This will probably be on hold, and this could be a potential favourite of the new year. As for the trope of books set in a cafe, do you like that? Yes. Is anybody surprised? No. Did I do this just to make up for the last time when I forced myself to read books about shite people cheating? Maybe. But it's fine. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying everything you're reading at the moment. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!